Hello, everyone! Welcome back to the Rational Investors Top 100 Crypto Review, soon to be called the Mr. Wyckoff Check's Crypto Countdown. Mr. Wyckoff Check? Is that the name? Are we going to put that in there? Good to see we got smiles.
As long as you have triple account.
There you go. All right, Ben. Ben is making logos for us. I'll just show you a quick screenshot. This is the logo Ben worked on. Fucking A, man. Like, he's putting some effort into this. That is really cool. So, nicely done, sir. And if anything, we're sort of setting a nice sort of precedent here with the first... What is this? This is, I guess, our 9th episode? So, actually, we've been meeting for a while. So, welcome back to the Frivolity, gentlemen. How are you all tonight?
Good as ever. Yep, doing well.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin's price has moved up here substantially. I would have expected you all to be super excited and happy and perky and uppy. But
it does have me a little bit more excited this week. I think we'll see that once you look at the assessment up top.
All right. I think I heard also earlier that the kids had dad in the swimming pool today, and they were really working him over hard. So maybe we'll give Derek a pass if he passes out here through the meeting. But enjoying the summer, are we, everybody?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like the older you get, the more the sun takes out of you.
Oh yeah, totally.
Get in that pool for a little while, it's like, man, I'm drained. So, but other than that, we're doing good. Everybody's doing well.
Yeah, when you get older, you forget about how carefree and laissez-faire you are when you're a kid and you're in a pool. You don't even think twice about it, eh? But as you get older, man, it wears on you. So anyway, apologies again, everybody. Crappy condo I live in. Terrible air conditioning in this condo. So I do have a portable air conditioner going here in the background. I haven't figured out how to cancel the noise on YouTube, so unfortunately it means you probably are hearing this in the background, and my apologies. If we do continue this on into the fall, and obviously the weather will be a little bit better, we won't have to worry too much about that. But actually, a local crypto OG and I are actually considering renting a really sweet pad here locally. Hey, we might be reporting in from the penthouse. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, what the hell, eh? Nick over there reporting in that he kind of liked that Luna pick of Seward's. Hell, maybe Luna will be buying us $1 million pads here shortly. Who knows? But it was great to see that crypto did perk up a little bit. I guess you could argue that TRI is still under its developer cycle. So, have to be patient. Not really much else we can do. I asked the boys here tonight if they knew how to motivate our tech department. And they were like, well, programmers. So, we just got to be patient and wait for Sjord's green light on the latest rendition of the dashboard. But for now, we can't really report on it. If we just quickly pop on over to our spreadsheet. Actually, this is kind of a cute app. Before we get into that Ben actually created. And I think we're going to put like I'd like to put your little logo right in there. That would look really cool. And it will be sort of a way for you to access the spreadsheet that we are working on that reviews all of these names. I thought that was a really, really good idea. So Ben's going to be working on that over the next little while. If I understand correctly, Derek, you took a boo at that Theta site. What do you think? Is it worth us exploring that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sort of diversify and get on another platform, what I found is going to take a little work in order to get on that theta.tv site, though, right? You got to do a little...
yeah, I did notice Kevin's trying to get us on the, the library credits platform, the Odyssey. And he's saying you got to jump through a few hoops. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely on Theta TV network, they want you to do a little bit of self-promotion on, I guess, on Twitter. You have to do a certain tag, and then I guess I don't know, show them some work. It's kind of what it seems like they want. Or you can get the issue is with getting a streaming key for theta.tv. Otherwise, you're just streaming to other edge nodes. So anybody they would have to have the software installed on their system.
Well, I do like the idea of us just exploring alternatives to the current status quo. I have no idea why the world just settled in on this status quo of the particular platform that we happen to be operating off of right now. Anyway, we're exploring. Well, we'll see what comes up. Hopefully something new. And then I suppose we are, for whatever it's worth, I had originally sort of proposed that we do this experiment as a way to try and fund a Decentraland booth, if you will, just because I wanted a sort of a piece of real estate in Decentraland before it got going in earnest. And of course you have to buy those with mana. And so I did originally put down an ETH wallet address here if you do feel like helping our cause out, if you will. So if you feel like donating, there is that, and I would love to get working on that Decentraland platform for us, and basically have these shows and all this stuff just running 24/7 in there. That would be so awesome. And then the last thing that I want to mention before we just jump into all of our funness is we are kicking around the idea of what I noticed here while I was going through this. We didn't start off with this. Maybe we should go back once we hit 100 and go back and look at our big boys and do a rating and stuff of which ones we like and which ones we don't. But I really did like the fact that of late we started sort of ranking names that we kind of liked from a fundamental perspective, and then technically we can time our purchases based on all the stuff that we teach at TRI. But I just wonder whether there's any, I don't know what the word is, appetite maybe, for us to create like a little mutual fund out of this project. Actually, what am I showing on YouTube? I better make sure I'm showing the right page. Where are we? Am I updated? Yeah, okay. Something along the lines of like a crowd-funded participation in this fund. And I'm the type of guy that I like to empower people, and I like to volunteer people. It really makes me feel special. So I've volunteered my business partners here to manage the fund. I don't think they realize it or not yet. But the point I would just make here is if I threw it out there casually, like, why don't we create a little fund and we be invested in these names that we particularly like, and let's see if we can outperform the broader market. That's going to take actual direct feedback from you, the audience, whether you would actually be interested in this fund and whether we should pursue it. So I have left the comments open on this particular video. It's funny when you go video to video whether you see the comments are alive or not. I thought I checked off that the comments are alive. I think they are, but I'm not totally positive. But let us know, and let us know in the little chat room there. I see Collins there. I see, oh my, no way I'm going to pronounce that name. Lewis, we'll leave you at Lewis. Kevin Stewart. Kevin, you are a soldier. You are always here, man. I'm so impressed with you. So, let us know whether there'd be any appetite in that, for something along those lines. I'm not quite sure how we'd approach this, though. So if you have any suggestions as to, well, Brian, there's this really cool this service or that service. I remember there was one that I explored a while ago. Didn't really get a lot of traction. But, I'm going to leave it as a project for the boys. Kind of along the lines of the theta. And you as a community, there's a few people that watch this offering and seem to be interested. So we're going to need some help, though. Really don't really know exactly what the next step forward is. So if there's anybody out there that does happen to know, oh yeah, well actually it's pretty easy, Brian. Just do this, 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 and this. Well, maybe we'll bring you on in a show in the next few weeks, next month or so, to tell us exactly what to do, and we'll do it. And look at that. We've already got some people who are already ready to participate. So that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to try and refrain from talking too much tonight. Good luck. I'm not going to do a fucking hour-long... I'm not going to do an hour-long soliloquy on Bitcoin tonight. I am going to just, I do like the idea of starting off the show just with sort of like, okay, how did we do? What were we thinking coming out of the previous week and what actually happened? So here we are, the 28th. Nick, did you mark the market? What we're gonna come into the show at here?
I just looked. It was 39.4.
All right. So is that the mark you're gonna mark it here?
I will mark it in 1 sec.
All right. So I will say, for the record, I'm pleased that Derek actually was pretty neutral, and Ben was relatively neutral. But I'm thankful I covered my shorts. Didn't get the bull call correct, so that was a mistake on my part. Nick's getting crushed here, so way to go, Nick. It's all good. It's all good. As he said, Derek and Ben both neutral. So didn't lose any money here at the same time too, though we didn't make any money. But interesting how we all sort of turned up. Well, the three of us. Well, actually, no, you guys didn't really change. I'm the only one who actually had a change in sentiment. So it looks like Derek's making a pretty bold move here. Derek is going, I guess that's not uber bullish, but that's bullish-ish.
I'm feeling a little bit more positive. We actually got
All
some
right.
volume and stuff that came in this week, so maybe
Okay.
it'll continue. Maybe, yeah, so I'm a little more positive on it.
Heading into the first week of August here. Yeah, you know what? Problem is that I missed the lion's share of the move, so I think I'm gonna have to stick with my neutral. Kind of chicken shit. Nick, you gonna change position here?
I'm thinking about it, but so as Derek was saying, we did go up pretty quick. We're still kind of in that 30,000 to 41,000 range that we've been in, so I could see us kind of regress a little bit to the midpoint of that range this week. I'm gonna stick with a -1 for the 5th week in a row. I'll be the bear here.
Okay.
I'm like a total bull at heart too. I don't see it this week. Or I at least see us coming down to 36 or 35 first.
Okay. And Ben's going to continue to be somewhat neutral, correct?
Yeah, I think as long as we're in that kind of range that Nick was talking about. So,
All right. We might even want to bracket what sort of positive, neutral, negative, so uber bearish, uber bullish, maybe bracket a percentage, like say something like 0 to +5%. That would be like a 1 rating. 0 would be plus or minus maybe 2%. Negative would be like maybe -2% to -5% or something like that. Uber bearish, more than -5%. I don't know, something like that. Maybe think about that. It might be a good idea. So like even here, we had basically about a, I guess about a 20% jump. So that's pretty big. That's not
about
bad.
that.
Yeah, that's that. I think the correct, and actually, what I wouldn't mind doing is including a column in here, and we should include the column of what the correct call was. just so we all see how horrible at market timers we are. So it's not a bad idea. That was said sort of tongue in cheek, but you guys aren't smiling, so I guess that didn't land very well. All right, somebody's moved a bunch of columns in here. Looks like they're on the go. Just a quick boo at the corn. And actually, here's the fun image for you. If we do decide to now fog and bomb these ranges and we break out to new highs, there's your upside objectives for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, interestingly enough, into the end of this cycle, I've heard lots of people sort of say, well, I do like the idea of ETH going up and hitting that 20,000 level that Bitcoin hit last cycle. So I do find that interesting how that would just sort of snuggle ourselves right in against this trend line here. I do find it interesting that this downtrend line actually corresponds with that uptrend line. That's a bit odd, eh? Bitcoin, Mr. Wu. I think Mr. Wu has tempered his enthusiasm a bit though lately, eh, guys? What have you heard?
Well, I mean, he took it on the chin a couple times, saying like the floor is 52,000 or whatever he was, and then like we'll never go below 40,000 or whatever it was. And so I mean, I feel like he's taking a couple L's, so he's being a little safer.
Okay. Actually, I don't mind the idea of 4669 as our top. So there's his 200,000. I think I recall recently hearing that his new upside objective is that 200,000. Which would be interesting if that similar 4669 there on ETH would be 14 Gs. So anyway, shake it. My plan, and I had originally written this in Liam's plan from day one. I said that if we actually hit $200,000 on Bitcoin, that actually I would start dollar cost averaging out of Liam's Bitcoin holdings and go buy a house for him with that money. So wish me luck. Sure hope that happens. That'll be awesome for Liam. And of course, I'm sure all of you will be more than happy if that happens as well.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll be plenty happy for you and Liam. I have to say it wouldn't be completely selfless though to want that to happen.
I think the only problem is fucking what's going on in the streets. Is it Armageddon, nuclear war? Do we really want Bitcoin 200 Gs? I don't know. Mr. Powell isn't running around with his Burr money printing machine. He's running around with his Burr machine gun mowing down people.
Yeah, so what did you get? Did you I guess hear anything that he said today? He sounded a little bit more, to me when I heard some of it, sounded a little bit more reserved, like he didn't basically said they weren't going to raise rates and sort of they were going to keep things the way they are basically and kind of see into the end of the year.
So this is the whole tinfoil hat conversation. So, what's the message to be told to the public? And unfortunately, most of those people that ask the questions in that sort of... It felt like a very staged media event. And some of the questions were just the most ridiculous softball questions. Like, my God, this must have been scripted. It was ridiculous how softball the questions were. So, what I found interesting is the people that are constantly concerned about this sort of value of money keep saying the same thing over and over and over, and the banksters keep saying the same thing over and over and over. We need to maintain order in the market, in the order book, so we're going to continually buy mortgage-backed securities. But sir, isn't there a housing bubble? And aren't your purchases fueling that bubble? Well, that's not a concern of ours. So I get the feeling that, this isn't really the conversation about crypto. It's more a conversation about economics. But I get the feeling that this is, we're basically in this part of the economic cycle right now. We should expect over the next few years, some sort of Bretton Woods type announcement from these banksters, basically admitting that they failed with the US dollar index and the US dollar as the sort of world hegemony proxy, and that we have a new sort of world hegemony proxy that will be our sort of fiat currency base. I believe that Mr. Klaus, for instance, he wants desperately for you to sell him all of his assets down here, because he knows that those assets are actually relatively cheap right now. And when those assets get bid up, and it doesn't matter whether it's housing, whether it's lumber, whether it's coffee, which I think is a commodity that's drastically undervalued. You could make some great money on the long side. Whether it be corn, soybeans, wheat, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. Stock market, tech stocks, Google, Apple, Microsoft. Assets themselves are going to rise appreciably in value over the next 10, 20 years. Because of what the bankers are doing. But the bankers here, it's beautiful. Like Klaus says, never let a good crisis, go to waste. They had to reset the currency, and they're using this health crisis as the cover to justify the Great Reset that they've been talking about. So, when you listen to somebody like Mr. Powell, is he actually talking the truth? Is he actually telling you what the banksters' real plan is here? And frankly speaking, I think the answer is no. I do find it interesting that in years gone by, the banksters would employ banksters to be head banksters. Nowadays, the banksters actually go out and hire lawyers to be the head banksters, because the lawyers know it's incredibly important exactly the words that you use if you're going to pull off this con. And it's so beautiful, it's at the point now where the American public is actually thanking Mr. Powell for pulling this off. So, it's a can of worms. In a weird sort of way, I think it's really a confidence game. So I think your question, in my opinion, is, did the people that asked him those questions and the people that went through this whole charade, do they have confidence in Mr. Powell that his leadership is going to guide them through this? And I think the answer to that is yes. The only problem here is that our economy is not at the whim or the mercy of just a bunch of banksters. Our economy right now is at the whim of this sickness. And if this sickness comes back with a whole new sort of variant and we have to shut the whole damn thing all down again, then we're right back at square one, like we were a year or two ago. And they're going to have to go through another big whack of paper printing to justify the Fakezi and keep all the old bondholders and shit happy. And that's probably the scenario that creates your $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 Bitcoin. I got a funny feeling that we're not done with this sickness yet. I don't think the banksters have any control over this, but they're going to try and talk their way through this. I mean, it was funny, on that YouTube page, while he was chatting away there, I was sitting there in the lounge going, I hope you all realize this is the biggest con job in like 100 years. And, I mean, the way I look at it here is, as I said, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Actually, it'd be interesting. You're all Americans. So how are we doing on the vaccine front? Like, I have a severely disabled child. I'm in Canada. He is very intimately involved in the government system. So he got vaccinated as an autistic child. People with autism do very, very badly with this shit. So it was a priority that they got him vaccinated ASAP. Because I'm on the front lines, I had to get vaccinated pretty quickly too. So I'm about halfway done. But I'd be curious how the three of you are feeling. Because this is really the $64,000 question. Do you guys buy into this vaccine stuff?
Better Derek, you go first. I feel very strongly about it.
You want me to go
last? I'll go last.
I mean, I don't trust it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, not even that. Yeah. So I just look at when I started kind of really researching even like mass vaccination programs in the past and stuff, and none of them really turned out well. I'm black. There was one thing called Tuskegee. I have a certain bias against, some of that stuff that went on. I really don't trust the government as far as that goes. I look at the rates of sort of death versus age and health and all that stuff, and while it seems like, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't exist or anything like that, but I feel like if you're healthy and you're a certain age bracket, your chances of dying from it are low. And that's the way I personally feel about it. I don't like the fact that they keep trying to push it so hard. Like they're really pushing it really, really hard, and they're finding that people that are vaccinated are still getting infected, and it's just like, it doesn't really qualify for my understanding what a vaccination is, and a vaccination is supposed to prevent as well you from getting sick.
Yeah.
And it seems like, as the way science goes, you can't rush things like this, right? These studies are done for years and years and years, and you're going to rush this. Well, I don't even know if you're studying it, but you're, in my opinion, how do I say this nicely? I guess you're using this is a mass study, basically. Yeah. So it's tough. I mean, but I also understand people's positions that are in certain positions that may want to for some reason. They need
some
comfort.
of us just don't have any choice, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
the tough part too.
It's good that you do have the choice.
Well, I'm willing to.
Sorry?
Well, the thing is also, like, I was looking at today, like, the Department of Justice, they were saying that there is a standing now. Well, they're I guess they can't make this rule necessarily, or it has to probably have to go to the Supreme Court and be argued, but they're basically saying that there is no, I guess places can require you to get vaccinated. And that doesn't seem on par with what I guess I understood. And I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, my belief is strong enough that I'm willing to walk away from my profession or find something else to do or adjust, because if an employer told me that I would have to get vaccinated in order to go back to work or go to work, I wouldn't do it. I mean, that's just my personal perspective. But
thank you so much for your candid honesty, Derek. I really appreciate that. We probably don't want to focus this show on this topic, my apologies for going too long-winded.
Maybe I should go last.
Euchred you, Derek, because you answered first. Let's just a one-sentence answer, yes or no. Are you on board or not, Ben and Nick, and let's just maybe move on and get to crypto and stuff. My apologies, everybody. I completely derailed this show again. I'm terrible at this stuff. So Ben, what do you think? You want to just give us your quick yes or no? I'm happy or I'm not. I just want to know whether you Americans are getting vaccinated.
Just to give you a bit of a state of the sentiment down here in Florida, things are pretty open. People are happy to kind of, for the most part, go about their business. A lot of people here have had it.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of reached a point where the people who want to get the vaccine have got it, and then the people who don't want to get it would probably have to be forced to get it to kind of reach that 70% that they're going for. That's my kind of finger on the pulse.
And I guess, and Nick, a quick comment.
I mean, I'm kind of on the other side of things. My wife will probably die if she ever gets COVID, so we've been kind of stuck inside a lot the last year. A lot of the states that aren't getting the vaccines and have a smaller percentage, they're the ones getting ravaged by the Delta variant. Florida had over 20% of our cases last week in the entire country. People in Vermont that are at like 85% vaccinated, they're all going back. They aren't getting any cases. Everyone's outside doing everything, whatever they want, inside bars, dancing, stuff like that. So I think it's proven that it actually does work. Whether you trust it or not, that's a different thing. But I get a little upset because I know people not getting it can affect my wife's health because she can catch it from them. And so I get a little upset with it, but it's okay.
Yeah, I would imagine there's going to be a lot. I mean, like with Liam. If Liam gets it, oh boy, he's in big trouble. Like people with autism, they do not do well with this shit at all. So, when I think of that, I have to go in hard. So, but I'm more curious as to, like the hospitalizations. It's interesting that you made that reference, Nick. Because if we start to see the hospitals all getting filled up again, then we know that we're right back in the shit. So that's what I'm going to be watching really closely. And interestingly enough, I think the markets are too. And to answer your question originally, whoever asked it, I think that the Fed, that's what they're most concerned with. If they start to see the hospitalizations start to ramp up, and they start to hear governments having to get overwhelmed and have to start shutting things down again, then I think we're right back in square one, and the money printers just keep going. Right now, I get the impression that they would prefer to not add any more stimulus. But technically speaking, when you take interest rates to zero and you add in that massive economic stimulus, he was even saying that, even with the ramping up in sickness, the economy actually was much stronger than they had even expected through the sickness. So this is what really bothers me about the Fed is that, they ask people, They asked the Fed what's going to happen in the future, and the Fed has almost unequivocally got this 100% wrong. And that's the thing that really bugs me about this is central bankers, they are the worst market timers. They don't know what the hell's going to happen. They always think backwards. What I will say is the banksters needed to dilute the currency to offset all that old debt. That was priority number one in their eyes. This sickness, like I said, it don't let a good crisis go to waste, and I think it served that purpose really well. So, that said, let's go on and take a look at some crypto. See if we have any half-decent ideas to add to our mutual fund here tonight. Good. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how the hell I got us down that rabbit hole again. Sorry. Didn't really mean it. I did not intentionally mean to do that. That's for sure.
It was only 37 minutes this time, so we're getting better.
Okay, that's good. And actually, I started a few minutes past the top of the hour, too, so... Okay. All right, so let's see our crazy-ass list. And I think I showed you a few minutes ago. Ben actually put this really cool little app together. That has all the names on it. And I think if you click on them, actually, it pulls up like the charts and stuff that we did. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, there we go. So I think as the weeks go by, we'll update these charts as we go. And then, maybe Ben, I don't know if you can, like, if you could put like a star or an asterisk or a different coloring or something by our names that we really like on our little adventure here. And, like I said, we could flag them for our little fund.
Cool. Yeah. Do something like that.
Okay. So, basic attention token. Is that show where we should start off tonight?
Yeah, and interesting. We've got a couple tonight that'll kind of...
BAT.
Yeah. You can actually look at the browser that Brian is using. Basic Attention
Brave?
Token is the native token for the Brave browser.
Oh, that's cool.
They've been around for a few years now. Maybe I forget when. Maybe 2018 they started. But they have a really nice private browser that a lot of people in crypto use, and just it's kind of expanding elsewhere too. I think they've got about 30 million different users that use it every month.
There we go.
I personally am very bullish on a competitor to this. I won't talk about that coin because it's a super low cap shit coin, but they've got a product coming out around it too. I like these browser tokens. I don't own any BAT. I haven't owned any BAT, but it just hasn't.
The question I have here is, what are we gonna do about this crazy Binance? Like, I heard that they're upping their KYC shit, I guess, to try and get in line with the Americans. Did you guys hear that they're limiting BTC withdrawals now?
Yeah, to like 0.06 BTC a day if you're not KYC'd.
Yeah, that to me actually sounds like Binance is like, okay, fine, we'll play ball with these damn Americans, and so is Binance going to survive? Are you guys sort of hearing that they're trying to play ball now?
I'm pretty sure they brought on someone from like a California, some kind of government, well, like past government employee to come on their board.
Compliance?
Look it up. Yeah, so they're getting someone on board that kind of knows the red tape. So I think they're kind of trying to get ahead of that.
That's kind of cool. Good.
This might not be a popular belief. I think I heard Colin talk about this on one of his shows too. But I definitely agreed with it. He, when you look at KYC, identity, that type of stuff, what the big institutions, banks, money bags that are going to be coming in, they want that. And so I see this as potentially being short-term, very bad news for the regular Joe that likes the anonymous style of crypto. I think longer term, this probably is a good thing for the exchanges. I think the ones that will comply will eventually be the larger ones, and the ones that try to fight it will eventually get hurt.
Well, even centralized exchanges themselves are becoming almost dinosaurs, eh? So, ironically enough, 5 years from now, none of us, as sort of insiders in the industry, none of us may even be trading on any of these centralized exchanges anymore. Probably a really good way, through this coming growth cycle, we're probably going to see crypto is everything. It's just like crypto and blockchain are the cornerstone of probably half of the growth story that's coming along here. And the growth in earnings will just be simply as economies of scale. Humans need not apply. I tell you, the last place in the world you want to apply for a job at is a bank right now. I would imagine most banks are going to become completely automated within the next 10, 20 years. With regard to this one in particular, this is kind of the funny one where it's this silly thing here, right? And, actually, I guess, Brave Rewards. So look at that. I've earned a grand total of 0.35 US dollars using this web browser. So I'm killing it. Obviously, I'm doing something wrong here, but it is kind of funny. But that's these guys, right? The Brave and all that shit.
Yep.
Eh?
Yeah, they kind of give payouts, like if you're willing to look at some of the ads and stuff on Brave, they will give you the revenue share of that through BAT.
Oh, is that what your tips and contributions this month? 0. In fact, actually, I see they constantly ask me to deposit BAT so that they can tip it out to people that they think I should be tipping, and I'm like, fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off.
Yeah, that. I think that's a pretty neat, feature of the browser is you can actually, if you're
you can, but I don't like how they, what they're trying to do is build adoption, right? So how do you get people to go and buy the BAT, build adoption, get the distributed? I know, let's build a browser that it's built right in, that every month it's going to try and, get you to buy some BAT. I thought that was a little cheeky by these guys, but anyway, it is what it is. And I suppose, there are people sitting there watching ads 24/7 making a killing off this, so way to go, everyone. Sure did have one hell of a rise there, I suppose, with the whole damn crypto market, eh? You've probably heard me say this before, the longer the channel, the bigger the run. So that's a pretty damn long channel. Basically just sat in this range since 2018, eh? So, it's not a bad looking name, and I suppose, Mr. W, is that what we call you, Ben? Mr. WC. I don't know. Anyway, point of the matter here. That's about as Wyckoff checky as we get there, right? So, really good lesson. I hope you all learned that. Also, too, on the site, we call this a shark setup, where you have this beautiful market structure, and the market comes down and, whoops. You know what's weird is Daniele, he's so good at drawing these lines. I'm terrible. Mine are always so crooked. Anyway, 78.6. Great fib level for trade location. I suppose one could argue there is this W down here. Off the 88.6. One reason that would actually lead me to believe that we do still have to come down here. Notice there just isn't a hell of a lot of buying interest here, eh? So you'll notice that when there's not a lot of buying interest, we just sort of keep drifting lower until something actually perks people's attention. You can see that right there. There we go, so you can actually see the volume. So, a little concerning. There's not a hell of a lot of buying interest here. I'm also a little concerned, and actually you guys could probably help me better. Kevin was trying to explain to me that, and this I guess is going back to the Bitcoin story, but do you guys, maybe somebody help me with this. Did somebody actually in crypto impersonate a Amazon executive and convince the media that Amazon was going to accept Bitcoin, and that was one of the reasons for this rally? Do you guys want to comment on that?
I mean, that's the rumors that Crypto Cobain was actually doing that. I think it originally started because about a week ago now, there was a job posting on the Amazon job site for some blockchain lead position. And then that started drumming up attention. And then over the weekend, last weekend, that story kind of came out about them accepting Bitcoin, et cetera. And then Kobe was trolling on Twitter. I don't know if it was true. He seemed to kind of say it was true, then it kind of seemed like he was trying to walk it back, but I don't know. That's
I
just
wonder
what I read.
if a lot of this rally was sort of kicked off by him. It's interesting because he came out, I distinctly remember, he came out right here and he was like, I officially declare this bull over. Come and get me. If this is a bear, come and get me. I'm going to put a 1 million Bitcoin bid wall down here. And sure enough, I put a floor in. So, you never know. I mean, the son of a bitch might have actually caused this to happen here.
The other interesting thing I did see was right there at kind of that bottoming red and green candle. Those two candles back to back on like the 20th. The FTX guys, Sam Bankman-Fried, and then one of his guys, I think Sam Trabucco, they kind of said, what, FTX is starting to buy a ton right here, and they've got enough of a following right now. Sam Bankman-Fried's been on like all these news shows the last couple weeks that could have had something to do with it as well.
Okay, cool. So because there is, in my eyes, a little bit of skepticism around the actual, justifiability, if that's such a word, of this bottom. Was it really more, I got the impression, we kind of talked about this last week, that it just felt like this market was just running out of sellers. It was just drifting, and of course it was terrible trade location. I still think that we need to tag Mountain Man, which is unfortunately just a little bit lower than here. But this is like straight line up here. And the worst part about this is that for a guy like me, we actually took a relatively oversold market. Well, actually, it wasn't even oversold. I guess it was oversold here. But we've actually now almost got this market overbought again, which is bothersome. When the market's overbought, usually there has to be, that's not a good example. Market overbought, there's got to be some sort of correction. A market overbought, there's got to be some sort of correction. Overbought, correction. So the fact that they actually got this thing overbought so quickly, that's horrible. And If anything, I've said this before. I hate. This is a horrible trade location. So I don't know, man. This looks awfully suspicious. I kind of wish that they had not done this. Also, too, don't like the fact that today was a Fed day, and they rallied this thing straight into that Fed announcement. You don't like to see that, and that's an old stock market-y guy. Like ironically enough, the stock market was actually down into that event. So actually, I didn't feel so badly about stocks. But they rallied this thing right into that Fed announcement. Now what? Was that a buy the rumor and now sell the news? Ugh. So the point I'm trying to make here is yes, that's Bitcoin. There's really nothing to do with BAT. But I'm not convinced that this really was like some sort of great watershed bottoming moment, which kind of bothers me. And usually we have a rule with RSI, then all indicators. And actually it's the cadence of which how trades go. And this is what really bothers me about this is how does the cadence go? Number one, trade location, right? Location, location, location. So the fact that this happens at kind of a shitty point kind of worries me. We're not... come on, you. There we go. We're not in reload zones. Remember I said Mountain Man's still a little bit lower than where we are. That bothers me. I mean, I showed you there on BAT. Original bottom's 88.6. Well, I hate to say it, folks. I think you can make the argument that the weekly bottom on Bitcoin is 88.6. I mean, you can see the W there. Doot, 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 boom. So, yes, this was a nice turn in RSI, and it really got me excited. But the problem is that this indicator signal is coming at a horrible trade location. And then usually what I like to see is, okay, let the indicator fire, great, and now let's hunt a W. And that's a terrible one. But we're not even at this trend line. I mean, the rule is we're supposed to see the W come in on the other side of the trend line. So this is so problematic for me. There's just so many problems here. Don't like this at all. So when I look at a name like this, I like the location. I mean, it's textbook. I don't like the fact that there's not that much buying interest. That's a little bothersome. Remember, I think I told you guys last week, you can actually see there's a buying divergence there. You see that? Where it made lower highs, even though price was spiking higher. I mean, if this was so bullish, why is this happening? It's actually backwards. So could we get a spike back up to this trend line? Maybe a nice little counter trend rally here. Yeah, okay. But I don't know whether this is really a new bull market. Also, too, what bothers me about this guy is, and I don't know, this is kind of a tricky one. But I think I would actually say that, like, on the weekly basis, there's your trend line. Which means that there's basically a major brick wall right up here. Which kind of makes sense. Because all these people that ran in up here, they're all trapped and they're sleeping on the couch, right? You guys remember my story about couch sleepers? So you can kind of see 78.6 right against that candle body high. And also interesting too, notice that that's the original M top there. So that's actually the institutional selling level right there. And notice that that's exactly where the market stalled out, that counter trend rally. So, maybe this is like what's left of this summer and the fall crypto rally. I could see that. I don't know whether I really like the idea of this being a new bull market, though. Like, no volume, that's a bit suspicious. And actually, I think I would actually make the argument that this thing is stuck in a massive trading range. So there's, probably something along those lines. There's the bottom end of your range. We could have like one more little FU move, especially if Bitcoin has to do a mountain man move. I could see that. Right down into that 88.6 in the original bottom. Sure, wouldn't surprise me. This is the kind of market that if you're like, and actually, Nick, you'll be being quizzed on this shortly. If I just wanted to come in here, I don't want to think. I like this story, but I'm busy at Canasta. I'd like to participate, but I don't want to chase, so I'm just going to follow the reload zone concept. What kind of strategy, what kind of risk management strategy would just have you in here just dollar cost averaging?
I don't know about dollar cost averaging, but if that's kind of your strategy, you're just looking to more little old lady where you're risking to zero, you're looking for a double, sell half on a double.
You missed the one. It was like there's a pyramid. You went up one side. You missed the actual selling feature of little old lady risk management, and then you went down the other side. So that was great. He got the, hey, I can risk all the capital, and I'm gonna be selling half on a double if the damn thing double and get a free position. But the most important thing that I wanted to hear you say was, I'm not gonna take more than 5% of my portfolio risk on this one particular name, and if I have to go in like a 1% at a time, well, so be it. So I don't mind that. You know, you want to.
Sorry, I didn't think I had to say rule 2 of only 2 rules of TRI.
Well,
there are only 2.
When I set you up with a question there about little old lady.
Yeah, sorry.
And the big selling feature of little old lady is don't put too much money into any one idea.
Yep, exactly.
Right? So that was the whole point. You want to go in here and dollar cost average here? I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. And I would just, put yourself on that plan, maybe once a month and once every couple months. You want to wait for W's to add? Well, I mean, here you can even see this is a great analogy that, W's don't always work. They only work about 60-70% of the time. So here, for example, down, up, down, breakout. Oh my God, this is a new bull market. We're all going to get rich. No, you're not. This turns out to be like a noob stop trade. I think we even talked about this on another coin, didn't we? I seem to remember I've talked to you guys about noob stops before. Most new people to trading, they'll put their stop right below that low there. But you actually have to risk to that low there. So this trade's hanging in here by a thread. But if we break through that 41.7 area, then the traders who bought this W, if you bought on leverage or more than 5% of your portfolio or something like that, if we break this low, you got to just go, damn, I was wrong. Just get me the hell out of there. Capital preservation mode. So, dollar cost averager? Okay. Even really little higher octane risk taker? Okay. But if we lose these lows and Bitcoin pukes out here, you got to be prepared to hop off and keep hunting, and then get back in on the next W. Little old lady dollar cost averagers, I don't have a problem with you shopping in here at all. So that's probably the technical view. We talked about this as being, excuse me. I would say technical objective is 1 here. So see if you can get that double, right? Like 45 cents. Where's 45? Oh, 45 is the lows. Ooh, how cheeky. So 45 is the lows. Notice 38.2 is 90. That's your double. So if you are going to sneak in here, try and make sure that somewhere between the 38.2 and the 50, because that's probably where a dead cat bounces to, you can get your double off in that level. If you can get that double off in there, that's, in my opinion, a pretty good trade. But once that's done, upside of expectations would be limited. That's probably the way I would look at it. For now. What you might find is through the summer, if crypto does go insane here, maybe Fed comes out and says, actually, we've decided we are going to officially endorse BAT coin as the future fiat currency of the world. Who knows? But what I would like to see is this looks like a triangle. So that means up, down, like that. All right? Which, down the road, we'll work our way. I mean, how long does this take? I've sort of said 2022, 2023 might be an ugly time period. We might do something like this, and then next cycle, away we go. Right, and that would be sort of like what happened here. All right, triangle. You see that? Whoops. That. So same sort of thing, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Away we go. That's probably what I think's going to happen here. It's probably not a bad prediction. Of course, I don't like to get into the habit of making predictions. But if I was a predicting kind of guy, that's probably what I would be thinking of here. In fact, the question is, how do I want to best share this with you? I guess we'll just do that. Here, we'll go like this. How many coins out on this thing?
Oh, a whole ton. One sec.
If that's the case, then it's not really a value play. I really
1.5 billion.
Yeah, so, it's just problem is 1.5 billion coins. It's not like these things are earnings engines. So the only reason why this thing's going to move up is more mass adoption, more people using, more people using, more people using. So really probably, if you are a fan, watch the initiatives that the company or the entity has to try and build their space. Because you can't even make an earnings argument here, right? That's the problem with this. Okay, so I'm going to say use browser. So am familiar. What's the driver to see higher prices? I just don't know. Not interested and wouldn't use it. Alright, well that's pretty cut and dry. Like the browser, have never owned the token. FA good, not interested. TA at the moment, might nibble at 88.6. Oh, I like that. Nice comment there, Ben. Okay, well there you go. I don't know whether that was any value to anybody, but hope so. How are we doing there over on YouTube? Let's see how they're doing. I haven't checked in with those guys. Alright, so obviously the V word and the C word caught everybody's attention over there. My apologies, everybody. Sir, really don't want to trigger anyone. Yeah, there's Kevin. Kevin is an active guy. I think Kevin needs to be part of our group. The original author of JavaScript is the founder of Brave. Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, monthly 88.6 on that Brave. It is an interesting level, eh? So I do kind of like that Jahar. Yeah, I don't like the volume there. Something doesn't look right about that. So,
it does look like 66% of coins are held by investors too. So
well, that's encouraging. So where does that mean the other 33% are?
Between the developer pool and I guess just the open market. Actually, let me see. I think I just...
Well, I suppose if you're doing the Brave browser thing, like here, I've got 0.625 of them, eh? So is that the kind of thing? Like 66% is held by all these people out here?
Well, I guess out of the original, whatever the original allocation was.
Yeah, it was like $1 billion, eh? So that's like 666 million. All right. That was one of the reasons why Doge did as well as it was. It's because all of the coins were held in tons and tons of diversified wallets, eh? And so Mr. Musk was able to take advantage of that. Okay, next story. I don't know whether we had a definitive answer on the BAT. But moving on. NEXO. So where should we take a look at this one? Oh, look at that. This one isn't really around too much. Only on Phoenix, Uniswap, and Hobby. So where do we want to look at this one?
Probably try Phoenix out of that list.
Yeah. Boom. Hey, there you go. There's a chart.
I mean, that was off of, I think, the Tether or the Luna stablecoin UST.
Is that what this is? This is part of Luna?
Isn't UST Luna stablecoin, I think?
Oh, USD. Oh,
UST.
Oh, yeah, that's. Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's
USD
Terra
is
USD.
them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you want us to do USD? How about over here? This one. That's probably the one we'll look at, eh?
Okay, never mind.
Oh,
Apparently,
that's
it just
even
went
worse.
on to Bitfinex a month ago.
Okay. So we don't have that many names, and this is already this big of an issue. What, did they just come out and just dump a shitload of coins on the market? Is that how this
I don't know, but
works?
it looks like they do back lines of credit and interest-bearing crypto accounts.
Oh,
Yeah. This
So
similar
this
to
is,
like
uh,
Celsius.
this is like the big DeFi kind of shit, eh?
No, this is the big CFI type of
CeFi,
stuff.
so centralized. How does that work? So,
So, I mean,
like, is this
yeah.
like Binance? Is this Phoenix's centralized DeFinance?
I think they're their own kind of thing. It's like a platform where you can lend, you can borrow, and you can also, I guess, stake your either your stable coins or your crypto or even your Nexo to get a like a 12% API. I think is the highest amount you can get. So it's kind of like a bank on your phone. And they have insurance up to $100 million. Everything's cold stored, so it's in cold storage. And it looks like they've jumped through a few hoops to get some pretty good compliance, and they've been around for a few years now, so it's
Okay.
not brand new. But I think Huobi is maybe the biggest, where the biggest volume is.
So is it a Chinese proxy?
That's a great question. I don't know where they're based out of. Do any of you guys know?
I don't.
Let's see what we say here. Coin market cap, that's owned by Binance, eh? So actually it might be interesting to see what these
Well, it
guys
looks
are
like
not
it-
listed on Binance. So.
And it looks like it was created by a European fintech group to implement. It says it called Credissimo.
Right.
So they implement innovative proprietary technology. So looks like European. I don't know why it's only trading on looks like Asian exchanges, but
Yeah, I think so, Brian. I would consider this like the centralized version to like an Aave. Whereas like Aave has a lot of banking and lending stuff decentralized. This is owned and centralized by a corporation that is kind of handling this for you. I think you have to lock it up for a certain period to get those good rates. I'm not entirely positive on that. And I think you need to own a certain amount of Nexo to get the increased rates. I don't know if Ben knows more about that.
Yeah, there are different tiers, and I think you're right. You get the most APY by using Nexo or getting paid out in Nexo, which I believe Americans can't because.
So,
considered a
so
security.
Americans are not allowed to play in this playground.
I believe so. But you might be able to stake your cryptocurrency and get paid out in cryptocurrency or in stable coins, but you can't get paid out in Nexo.
Okay. So, and Antony Trechev seems to be, I guess, the front man here. So, it's interesting. Nexo is the first ever provider of instant cryptocurrency-backed loans, and it intends to solve inefficiencies in the lending market, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I guess, you're hip deep in, God, why do I always say that? I want to say Cosmo, but that's not it, is it? I always forget the name.
So I'm actually currently during the show bridging a lot of my crypto back to Ethereum from Polygon.
Polygon, that's it. It's Polygon. I don't know why I keep saying Cosmo.
Cosmos is good too. It's a good name
that-
to have on the brain.
Okay, so that would be your DeFi choice, correct, Nick?
My DeFi choice to Nexa would be Aave.
Aave, okay. Oh, okay, that's good. And Derek, any thoughts here? Would you ever use this centralized exchange to do what you could do in Decentraland?
Yeah, I think. I mean, if I could, it doesn't look like. I mean, I don't know if it's available to U.S. folks, but. I
So
mean,
this yield thing it's really frozen all you Americans out of here, right?
I think that's kind of. It seems like the case in a lot of these places, but I mean, if it has some sort of. I mean, although I do like decentralized stuff, I think it'd be nice to have some stuff that's, I guess, more regulated. I guess so you can maybe have a little bit of confidence in putting more money in there or whatever. But so I'd be interested in learning more about it. But yeah, if I could participate in that.
Well, that's cool. The interesting thing is to me this looks trappy. I mean, I hope that this W is for real. If it is, then there's your floor. I don't know. Why did the W come in where it did here, out in open space? Usually we say look left, right? We often find that the bases come in against the old lows. Or even Ben, right? And his buddy washroom closet. Right in there. That's where I would have thought that we would have come down into that level. Sorry, that was me being silly.
No, that's exactly what I thought of earlier when you called him Mr. WC.
Water closet, washer. What do they call it in UK? They actually call it that. Where's Josh? Josh knows the name of it. They actually call it like a water closet, right? Isn't that what they call it in UK? Yeah.
That's the term I grew up knowing.
Yeah. So, I want to believe, but again, wow, something doesn't look right about this. I mean, where's the stampede of buyers? What is actually propping this up? Is this rally more just there just isn't any participation in the market, and the market's in a bit of a vacuum right there? Than anything else? I don't know. It's not overly compelling. And, again, this goes back, and it must sound like a broken record, guys. I'm sorry. But my cadence when it comes to trade setups is, number one, actually, maybe you guys help me out. If I was going to have a trader cadence, what would be step one? Ben?
Location.
Thank you. Step two.
Indicator confirmation.
Oh.
Sorry, Derek. You got it.
What, momentum indicator? Okay.
You could use momentum, price momentum, volume momentum. Hell, you could even use volatility momentum if you wanted to. So when you say momentum, just try and be specific what it is you're studying. But then finally, what's the final piece to the puzzle? Number three.
Market structure.
Yeah, market structure. So the problem that I have here is that this is coming in backwards. So, and just for argument's sake, we can always go and just see if there is indicator confirmation here. Where are we here? Summer 21. It's not bad. I don't know. Is this low lower than that low? That low is $1.03, and this low is $1 even. So we don't have any indicator divergence here, right? Divergence. This is tricky, right? Ben, you haven't taken the education program. Most people new to trading fall into this trap where they see a higher low like this, and they go, and really actually it doesn't look like that. Like this. And they go, okay, well, this low was higher than that low, so this is in divergence. That's actually not correct. This is only confirmed if this momentum can actually bust up. And this has got 2 levels. It's got that level to get through now and that level. There's a cute little W here. So that's probably what framed that recent rally. But what I want to see is I want to see the bigger one. Right? And actually, if this was a divergence, it isn't. Because remember, that's that low of $1. But, you know, and also, too, when it comes to divergences, what I want to see is like a happy grade 3 English teacher. What does a W look like? That looks sloppy. And really, as I said there, this momentum breakout, that's not even confirmed yet. This thing could very easily roll right back over here, and that's a new M. Oh, Jesus, and that's a big momentum sell signal. So I don't know whether you know that or not, Ben. It is something that we teach in the course. That's super, super important. Don't assume that this is a bullish divergence. That is not confirmed yet. So this is backwards. We got sort of WZ, but not even really W's. We don't have trade location, because if I'm not, well, it's okay. I mean, ideally, I don't want to see a W come in above this Mountain Man level. That's no good. We don't have indicator confirmation. Got a nice W in all of the momentum indicators, so that's okay. But there's no divergence. And then lastly, what price structure are you going to use? If you actually buy this level here, that means you got to risk all the way down to here. We already said this was $1. That's $1.76. That's like, what is that? 76 cents on $1.76 investment? That's like about 50% of your capital. That's a lot of risk. So put it all together. Oh man, I don't like the look of that at all. Something just does not look right about this. So I'm gonna have to say, me personally, jaundiced eye. If this thing does go in WA out and break out, then what I would suggest is, you know, we draw a reload zone off of whatever this ultimate high is here. And then if you do want to buy, just watch like a laser beam down the road if we can get some sort of structure down in here. And ideally on a nice bullish momentum divergence. That's kind of what I would see, envision happening here. So, I'm going to say location poor, especially to buy there. It's going to be outside the reload zone. I don't like that. Indicator confirmation, I don't have any divergence. Actually, we have a little bit of an RSI divergence here, so that's kind of good. But nothing to work with MACD. Now, Willie never did get stupid here, so, meh. It's probably not something I'd be too interested in. I will say this, though. We've got one low. We've got 2 lows. If we can make that 3rd low come down and, you know, put in a nice W down in here, then we might have something to work with. Upside objectives, I would say, Mountain Man on the upside makes sense. Test of that high. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. And I'd also say, too, this would be kind of fun. The one good part about this, because this is a W, if we do break out through the top here, actually, I'd be curious. What do you think I'm going to draw here? Let's, who should we quiz now? Let's quiz Derek. What do you think I'm going to draw down in here if we do confirm this W here? Starts with an F. It's rather chaotic.
Oh, Foggy Bomb?
Foggy Bomb! Foggy Buggies. Let's see where Foggy Buggies go. Boom! There you go. And this probably aligns nicely with the 50% retracement. I bet you that's what that is. So let's see. 50% rule. Boom. Oh, actually, it's even a bit higher. So, yeah. I'd say probably the odds are that... oh, jeez. Why is that always backwards? Beckett's. Yeah. Odds are we jump up into this area. Like I said, interesting, I eyeballed 38.2 there. as sort of a pullback point. If this can break out through the top here, and you are a bull and you want to buy, you can't chase. Just watch how she acts on the pullback against these lows. And if it can W here, you might actually have something to work with. So, actually, we don't need that. All right, that's going to be my sort of prognostication going forward. Who knows? Okay, so we talked the crap out of that. So FA-wise, what are we saying here? Sounds interesting. Well, oh yeah, because this is overseas, eh? So North American, not illegal.
U.S. at least. I think Colin had some money in Nexo until just recently. So I think Canada.
I do
can
know
use
that
it.
the Canadians, and it doesn't surprise me, the Canadians are slowly kowtowing to the U.S. That's usually what happens.
Okay.
Like in Ontario, they dropped the hammer on Binance. So, Colin, please be careful. I don't want to see you get into hot water with the Ontario regulators. If we're lucky and Binance and all these guys sort of play ball, maybe all that'll disappear. So, hey, full disclosure, we have a Canadian company and a U.S. company that runs TRI. We had a Canadian company that had an account on Binance, and I asked the boys just to liquidate everything on there because I just don't want to take the chance. It's just not worth it. So it kind of sucks. Or take delivery of the coins, right, and just keep them on a cold storage wallet. Or DeFi. I think the Fjord sent a lot of the coins that we had there off into DeFi land. I guess, why don't we just say U.S. can legal. And the purpose of this was, it was the centralized DeFi, right?
Yeah, centralized FI.
Centralized FI. Okay. At least now we know who the FI names are. There was a long time I didn't understand any of that. TA wise, nothing really to get excited. I don't like the fact that there's not much volume there. And frankly speaking, if you had your choice, would you go into centralized versus decentralized?
I think it kind of goes back to what Derek said. Like with this, it looks like you get a little bit of built-in insurance, so you might have a little more peace of mind. Going decentralized, there are insurance protocols that you can buy parts of or coverage for. So you can have some of that. It's definitely easier and more user-friendly to use something like Nexo than to have to go get an insurance like policy on Aave or something like that and then put your money into Aave. But I kind of go back to the whole not your keys, not your crypto argument. I don't like having money on a lot of centralized exchanges. I don't like centralized finance apps, but that's just my bias and paranoia.
Fair enough. So Derek, you're interested, but because it's the U.S. issue, probably not likely to do anything, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said before, I think I'm interested in the idea of kind of both centralized and decentralized. I mean, until that confidence is there in terms of, I mean, even like hacks and things like that. I mean, I guess those will always be possible, but I think some of the, like you said, some of the built-in insurance and that type of stuff and regulation, I mean, I think there's a place for that as well. Like, I would probably diversify, I guess, and try to maybe spread some money across both of them.
Cool. And Ben says, nice app. Been paying steadily for a while. Would take a stab at lower prices, but nowhere for me to buy in US. All right, makes sense.
The other thing I was wondering about the volume, Brian, is you need to stake the token to get the increased APY. So I do wonder how much of the circulating supply is actually staked, so there wouldn't be any volume for those coins.
Okay.
I don't have the answer for that. It's an open question, but that could be one reason there isn't a ton of volume, is if a lot of the coins are actually staked, they wouldn't really be available to be traded.
Right, and so here's the problem with this whole sort of story. What is the price of these DeFi coins in relation to you actually going on their network and locking these in to grab these yields? And does it make any difference what the hell the price of this damn thing is? Is this just purely a function that demand overwhelms supply through this, and everybody was rushing onto these exchanges to go lock in financing, but at the end of the day, there's no real value justification for this asset to be up here. Does that make sense? I mean, let me ask you, why on earth did this thing collapse through here? This, to me, almost looks like one of those rug pull kind of things.
I mean, a lot of charts looked like that the week of May 19th.
Well, yeah, this is a good lesson. What do you think, all you YouTubers? Are you going to respect the fact that you should get the fuck out of crypto on my birthday?
Wait, when's your birthday?
May 11th.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that.
I keep telling everybody this. Crypto hates my birthday. There are always bad things happen in crypto around my birthday. I tell you, it's a curse. So
It's a gift if you cash out.
okay, well, there's that perspective. You know, sell in May and walk away. It's not an accident. Quite a few people do sell.
Yeah, that's a listen to you next year.
What's shocking is the incredible clichéness of the Coinbase IPO and the entire top of this whole fucking market. I mean, and what I don't get is nobody in crypto is picking up on this. That's what I find incredible about all this. Nobody makes that connection.
Mm-hmm.
But oh well.
Yeah.
A gnarly old stock trader.
And I remember you making a connection earlier on when the bull market kind of kicked off.
Yeah.
And you were saying that next time around you'll be playing it on the stock sides because of how much faster they went up than Bitcoin.
Well, Bitcoin, I mean, like, I traded stuff like this. So, you know, this one we bought down at like 30 cents, right down here.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, pick your poison. What do you want to trade? I mean, a bull market's a bull market's a bull market. I mean, this was that was 100x.
Mm-hmm.
Did Bitcoin went 20x. Well, it's okay, I suppose. You know, there are a lot of crypto stocks that I did went like 10x.
Okay.
So there were a few crypto coins I had. Like there was this one crypto coin that I had, RLC, which I really like. I've always liked this one. Somebody asked me actually at the bottom of the market like 4 or 5 coins, and this is the one that I gave them. When I did that interview with Da Vinci guy years ago. But of course, it's always so difficult to show you these things. Yeah, there we are. So back in, oh no, see, this one doesn't even go that far back. But back, remember in 2019? But so anyway, point here is, well, Bitcoin went from like 3 Gs to 60. I mean, relatively speaking, I guess this, no. Was it all the way over here? Yeah, I guess so. So this thing went from, oh goodness. Yeah, so there's the March low where Bitcoin traded down to $3,000. So this thing, we'll use a clothesline. So it closed at 20 cents. So Bitcoin went to 60 Gs, 3,000 to 60 Gs, that's 20x. This thing went from 20 cents to a high of, how high do we get here? $15. So that's almost 100x too, eh? That's getting in there, close to 100x. So pick your poison, right? Are there names in these kind of rallies that are going to do better than Bitcoin? I think so. But at the same time, too, don't get into an argument with a Bitcoin maximalist. It's just a waste of your breath. You know, I don't, you know, like, there's no way. I bought my Bitcoin. I bought 1 1/4 Bitcoins at $500. So if I just held on to that 1 1/4 Bitcoin, even today, what would it be? Worth about 30, 40 G's, right? It's not bad. But even now, I've taken, like, what? 200,000 US dollars out of that altcoin account. I've got like 20, 30,000 in gold. And that account, even today, and remember, it was only $500 I put into that account. The goddamn thing keeps logging me out. I hate that about Trex nowadays. The fucking thing won't stay logged in. And I want to brag to you guys, and I can't do it. God damn it, sons of bitches. So, like, this was a demonstration account. It was a fun account. Somebody even asked me recently to talk a little bit about this account. But just even now, I've already taken 100 US out. Actually, about 150, 160. And even now, the account right now is sitting at, 280 G's? This is like idiot little old lady buying altcoins and selling halves on doubles. That's some pretty half-decent numbers for like a pretty stupid guy. I mean, I don't understand blockchain. So, I mean, you can get wrapped up in the Bitcoin-only story. That's fine. But I think there's actually more money to be made in trading these various different venture... Sort of, what would you call them? Venture proxies? Okay, speaking of which, Decentraland, dun dun dun, mana.
I was going to say we were finally getting to this one tonight. So Brian mentioned earlier on at the beginning of the show that he is trying to build a TRI building booth. Yeah. Inside of Decentraland. Decentraland is a metaverse, which is kind of like a browser game, and it's got a whole big area where you can go run around, hang out with friends. There's a bunch of games you can play inside. There's bunch of art and NFTs you can buy. They're adding stuff all the time. I made an account and I ran around in there for about an hour with a friend one day. It was pretty cool. The graphics, different. I will admit, definitely not up to what I would expect in 2021. However, I think it is probably, I don't know if I want to say this, but it's definitely one of the top metaverses in crypto right now.
Yeah, Julian's pretty stoked on all these sort of online games, that are all coming in here. This one's slightly different. It's not quite a game. It's like you said, metaverse. It's like a virtual reality world. And of course, what they want to do is they want all the goods and services and stuff within this world to be to use the mana currency. So, as I said, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I don't want to load this up. I don't know whether it's going to crash the system or not. I mean, it's kind of fun. I'm a big fan of the Ubic guys. One of my local buddies, Aaron, who's a principal there at Ubic, we went and climbed Mount Seymour with Andrew. I don't know whether you guys saw those pictures, local mountain. And he actually is like, he builds buildings inside Decentraland and then sells them to people for a living. On top of all the other crazy jobs that he has. So it's really cool. They have a building inside Decentraland where they have like a video feed, and on their video feed it's like Frank Sinatra, I guess public YouTube videos that just plays. And that's what I want to do, is I want to literally have these shows just running 24/7 in Decentraland, so anybody can just walk in, sit down, and just start watching us talking about crypto. So yeah, that's the premise behind the idea. I like it as sort of a. Did any of you guys play Pong?
Yeah, not on the Pong machine. I had an Atari with it.
Okay, well, that's not bad. Like Donkey Kong. Remember when Donkey Kong came out on Atari?
Oh yeah.
Right? And like Pac-Man and those, I think they call them like 8-bit games. I think it was 8-bit technology. Hey, look, you even got one there. Well, that's actually, that's like Super Mario Brothers, eh? Or actually, that would be like original Mario Brothers, eh?
That was an original Nintendo cartridge.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
you guys can't see what I just held up to the
but
camera. But
Nintendo was the next generation. Like I
from
grew up
from Atari.
I grew up with Atari, ColecoVision. Do you remember ColecoVision? That was another one. And the little online football games, right? And they were kind of like this kind of technology. And so the guys inside Decentraland, they figure that they're just going to keep building this stuff out. And as time and technology goes on, they're going to become faster and more crisp and more bits and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, like the land parcels went for nothing back here, and now they're starting to get a little bit expensive. So
Is
that's
this
why
VR at all? Is it virtual reality, or is it? Can you connect like VR headsets to it and that type of thing, or is it not? Or it's just?
I don't think they're quite there yet.
Okay, that's sort of the plan, is to build it out that way eventually, or?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, hell, I can try. Let's see. Am I going to blow everything up by going in?
You might. I think you can use a VR headset.
which
You don't
one
need to.
Oh,
But
say Pierre play as a guest. I know I did. I'm already all set up in here, and Kevin and I, we went and played tons of games and stuff in here. Yeah,
No, that's cool. I remember when they had the ICO and stuff like that, and I didn't know too much about it back then. Or I know
I'm gonna have to
about it
go
now,
through all
but
this shit.
it seemed kind of cool.
I'm not gonna bother with this right now. Maybe in a future episode, if we come back to Mana, we can maybe show you some more. So
Well, it is pretty neat though. It's a good platform. It's
there's definitely value in what they're doing. Whether it's tangible right now and you can actually monetize it, I don't think so. But I can definitely see that there's value in it, and eventually, my hunch is, like, I think Atari themselves actually set up a booth inside Decentraland, and they've got like their basic video games and stuff running in there, don't they?
They did. It's much bigger than a booth. It's like an enormous tower. But yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. Okay, so here again, this is the kind of thing. What the hell's value? I have no idea how you'd figure out what a value is on one of these assets. My hunch is it's all purely a function of mass adoption. The more people use this, the more there's going to be demand for the tokens. The more sort of economy they have circulating inside Decentraland, the more traction it has. But what I'm worried about with assets like this is they're very sort of FOMO-y. If, like on the news of Atari getting involved, the thing went absolutely apeshit. But does that necessarily mean it's a good investment at that point? Probably not. Ironically enough, usually that's actually you want to buy the rumor and then sell the news that Atari's getting involved. So I wouldn't even be surprised if we found out what date that was. My hunch is that Atari news was somewhere in here, and of course there's the other side of that event. Technically speaking, again, how does the expression go? And the good part about this is I don't have to sit here and go, for God's sakes, people, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. So we're not in that kind of market anymore, thank heavens. That was painful. But hopefully everybody sees, wow, what a great lesson in, how does that expression go? The longer the what? The bigger the what? Anyone? I don't know. Am I just talking to myself? Probably.
The longer the channel, the bigger the boom.
Run.
Okay. Run, sure. I mean, that's an old, gnarly commodities trader expression from back in, the 1970s. So it kind of makes sense why we had such an insane face rip there. Also too, if you're going to be studying down the road, I love, actually there's one you want to see. I mean, this is the stock market, but great example. I'm in this one particular stock that's, no, actually this isn't it. What is it? It's GOT. And you can do exactly the same logic here in crypto. So I see this stock. This is a weekly price chart. And hell, I can draw this trend line. And you see, we are Wing on the other side of trend lines. And look at what the goddamn stock's doing. Right? I don't know whether this one is. Oh, yeah, same thing. So Wing on the other side of the trend line. Look what's happening here. So, why are you watching the show? Maybe you're watching the show because you like Brian's jokes. I don't know. But my hunch is you're watching the show because you want to try and learn maybe a thing or two about trading and try and make some money from trading. I can tell you the easiest way to make money in this world from trading is just to simply identify these trend line breaks and then have the patience and discipline. When a W comes in on the other side of these trend lines, you just go, 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 go. So this is one that just fired, and of course you can see, I mean, I'm a pretty happy camper right now. So how do you get in on this? The problem with mana is that event was, right, we can do this all together. You can see, you just play connect the dots. I mean, you want to go off of this conservative one, just go, okay, where's that, okay. Well, there you go. There's your W on the other side of trend line. Look how the trend line was broken. And look at this wonderful little W on the other side of that trend line. And all of a sudden, look what happens. All hell breaks loose here. Right now, you can even say, well, I'm going to wait for that trend line to break. I don't care. Just get long. My hunch is actually there was an even easier trade. Right? That was something along there to there. So there to there to there. Okay, give me a W. I don't know, anywhere. Give me a W, damn it. Because that made a new low. Well, okay, it looks like finally here is the W right there. And away we go. You might have said, well, Brian, I want to be conservative, so maybe let's go off of that high and that high. There, so boom, 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 boom. Okay, there's the break. Give me a W. Give me a W. Well, okay, so that's that signal there. Point here is that this is what I really need for you to understand. The whole idea of the longer the channel, the bigger the run. Just wait for these channel breakouts. That's where you make the fucking killer money trading. The problem right now is that you're coming into a ranging market. And very much like this was. Can you guys see how this was basically a trading range? For 1, 2, 3 years. That's a pretty damn long time, right? I don't know. Can you guys see that? So, boom, there's the rally. Does this thing have to sit and now range for the next 3 bloody years? Getting ready for the next one? Definitely possible. We've seen a number of names that look like this, right? If we draw the trend line off at the top here, you can see this thing's not a bull until we start Wing out on the other side of this trend line. I don't know how long this is going to take. It's probably going to take a while. So, it almost looks like this is kind of, you ever heard the expression no man's land? Kind of like World War I. Actually, how ironic, eh? Spanish flu. Same historical time reference. So, just eyeballing this. Can you believe that? Is that? Yeah, isn't that incredible? That was 0.008 cents. Right? Let's say you went in there at 2 or 3 cents. What the hell's the price now? Even now it's 68 cents. Holy jeez, it went all the way up to $1.60. What kind of rate of return is that? I mean, I'll tell you, that was a hell of a lot more than Bitcoin going from 3,000 to 60 G's. So, this is again, Brian loves to bang out doubles and stuff. You see all the tweets. This is why, because we sneak in at the bottom end's range, accumulating, selling. Problem is, what do you do now? Kind of just sit there in no man's land. I don't like to look at this at all. Blech. reload zones. I think you probably got to go off that 3,000 low. So there's, I always love to take a real good look at 78.6s. And also too, notice that that's a little bit of a Wyckoff check. So that's not a bad level. But right up here, we're actually above Mountain Man level now. Ugh. I'm just not overly impressed with this. And then I guess the question I would have for you is, what's the catalyst now? Atari has come in. I guess maybe if you see some sort of further promotion or something from a firm, great. But I wonder what the catalyst now is. This to me looks like it could bob and weave all over the place here. It's all open air as far as I'm concerned.
I think one thing that could help it is built on Ethereum, so the transactions are a little expensive. So once kind of layer 2 scaling comes in, when you can essentially do anything in the game, any transaction for free as far as the gas is concerned, I think that could give it a pretty big boost too.
Okay. That might actually be sort of like this consolidation window. I don't know how long that Ethereum development's going to happen. But, we have talked about 2022 is not a good year for capitalism in general. I get everything that I hear about it. Sure sounds like I think what's going to happen here is crypto's going to enjoy a hell of a rally into the end of the year. Willy Woo gets his 300,000. The cool part about this is what might actually happen with my funny little account is it went up to like 700,000 or 800,000 when Bitcoin went up to 20 G's there, because the whole damn market lifted into that peaking event, and that's exactly what I expect to happen here. And I think I've told you guys, if we do get that rally back up top here, I'm going to be lightening up a lot. And just think of it this way. This thing, 66, well, back up top here, that's more than double. That's double the current price. So I could be selling at substantially higher prices on this guy. That wouldn't surprise me. Really, my question is, how does this thing act versus Bitcoin? Like when Bitcoin goes moon there? That will be like my big question. Does this thing, versus Bitcoin, actually it looks even worse, eh? Which kind of makes sense that, if we're thinking Bitcoin, I look at that kind of chart there, that doesn't really, to me, look very compelling to be a buyer. Yeah, this looks kind of suspect. So, having said that, there's the top of value. Just looking at the past couple years. My only concern would be if Bitcoin does go absolutely insane, face rip to the upside, can this thing hold on to these gains up here, and so I can sell everything at that really inflated Bitcoin price? My hunch is no. Looking at this, my hunch is this thing actually wants to work its way back down. So, kind of sucks. Alright, so I don't know whether there was any value. I think we've probably given the audience a pretty good idea of what the decentral story is. Now let's go see whether the boys, after what I've just said here, let's see if the boys have any interest in participating in this. Actually, and I don't even really like this line. I'm going to get rid of this line. Just going to leave it that open because I think that's your trading range. So, can we get maybe some sort of commercial announcement through the summer? Can they bid this thing up to the top end of the range? I doubt it's going through the top, but I'm just going to simply say massive new range, like new trend on ETH gas issue resolution. Because that's what bothers me right now about this whole ETH story. And it's exactly the same thing that Vitalik said last cycle. He hated how they ran up his ETH price because it made using his supercomputer so expensive. So it's fascinating how it's the exact same damn thing. Nothing's changed here. All right, Derek says, I like the story. I want to learn more. FA, one of the first. TA, not ready for a trade. No, okay, sounds good. I like the metaverse. If they keep building and innovating, could be cool. All right, Nick. An interesting concept. Not interested at the moment until looks better against BTC. Ah, yeah, that BTC chart didn't fill you with a lot of enthusiasm, right?
No.
Okay, let's keep moving this train forward. BTG, what's the story here?
I don't know too much about this one because it was before my time in crypto, but it seems like it's just another one of those Bitcoin forks that happened in the last bull run. I think I read that their whole shtick was to like make Bitcoin decentralized again.
Yeah.
So they came up with Bitcoin Gold.
Bitcoin Gold, yeah. So this was a fork. That's interesting. Look at that chart, eh? Hey, does anybody know whether they're actually doing anything?
Yeah, I don't have any idea. I couldn't find much on it, but I mean, I think it says in here, Bitcoin Gold is an experimental Bitcoin hard fork that prioritizes one CPU, one vote, blockchain governance.
That's
Doesn't sound too
kinda cool.
interesting.
They're trying to make it so that basically CZs and stuff of the world and all the mining farms and all that shit can't monopolize the space. Is that the angle?
Not sure. They did put out a roadmap for 2021 in the middle of May, so halfway through 2021, they decided to put out a 2021 roadmap. Seems interesting. But I don't know. Their main Twitter account seems to be tweeting about once a month, so it's definitely not that active with the social media presence compared to a lot of other protocols.
So, interesting, our whole rant about trend lines, 1, 2, 3. It is interesting how we do have a nice little railroad tracks right at the bottom end of the range here. So quite literally, if this thing can W, then we actually have a justification to buy. Interesting too how this is all happening right at the top of value here. So this is actually a really good example, Derek. Remember we talked about, does the market want to accept back into value or does it want to accept above value? And if it does accept above value, what should happen here?
80% of the time it should go to the bottom of the range.
No, but not bad. That's the Hogue 80% trade. That's completely different. So you better get studying for the exam. Bottom line here is if the market can accept, and you can see there was a huge battle here. Do I want to be in value? No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I mean, you can see there's a hell of a battle here, right? And what I would just simply say is if this W does confirm here, up we go, above value, then that's actually extremely bullish. It means that the market is ready to explore higher. And quite literally, this is all open air up here. Then, of course, we have the rule, right? Wicks and tails like to be eaten. Candle body highs for trade location. I bet your bottom dollar, if we go foggy boggies here, that foggy boggies are going to be up in this area as well. All right, so if we go boomity boom, boomity boom, and we go boomity boom. Hello, foggy boggies. So 4.669, the natural bifurcation level. There's your candle body highs for trade location. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. There is some unfinished business up here. Interesting how 2.618 is this wick. So you can almost see how it's going to be like sort of up, then back. It'll check. What do we call that again? A Wyckoff something, right? The original breakout. You'll often see this happen. It's quite remarkable. Great, Del Moody. This one goes out for you, bud. New thing you can add to your user manual. you'll often see the market will actually ping pong back between the breakout level and 2.618. Then if it's ready to accept above 2.618, it'll want to head up to the 4.669. So actually a pretty good, I would consider that a pretty good roadmap. And also too would be really cool is, what do we call this setup? We'll give you a chance to redeem yourself here, Derek. What do we call a reload zone tag against original market structure bottom? Boom. And actually I guess that would mean that would come in there. Right down in there. What would we call that trade setup?
A reload and a reload? Reload sounds. I don't know what that setup is called. I don't know that.
Just because. Actually, let's see if any of you over on YouTube know the name of this setup.
Is that the trend line setup?
No. LJs, you mean? No.
Yeah, I was thinking the LJs are RJs off there.
What I want to show you is setups. Let's see if our web page is working. Range setups. You ever seen this picture before? This last cycle, 2017, 2018, man, this is our favorite setup. Man,
This was the one that I think you've heard you talk about before. It's kind of a difficult trade.
It's not easy.
I haven't really.
This is what we call the shark setup. The shark. So you're gonna identify original market structure. You're gonna let the market break out. You're gonna draw your reload zones, and notice 78.6 lines up with the original breakout. So that's what that image was, right? Let the market break out, pull back 78.6 off the original market structure. Maybe this thing actually has to go a little bit higher. And actually that would make sense, right? 4.669 rally, notice 78.6 right off the double bottom. So in a weird sort of way, this is actually even kind of projecting a little bit out into the future. So this probably is going to look something like... Well, the trade would be woo, and then pull back down into there. So something like that. So I don't know whether we actually get this deep of a pullback here. Maybe this is more like up, down, up, like that. So anyway, point of the matter here is if you can find W's, then you draw your fibs off of the range, and you pull the fib, and 78.6 lines up off the original W. I love those for trade location. And you like this image is. Sometimes you just get the kick-ass fills. The market just dumps right into your level and then just spikes right out of there. The only problem with that is that this is a bull market. So we're not in a bull market just yet. So you can't be hunting these. You can see the W's have already come in. And what you're doing is you're trying to load up as the bull is raging. So keep our fingers crossed. The bull comes to life here, and we do get that pullback. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. BTG. I don't really actually hear anybody talk about this anymore. So if anything, maybe flying under the radar. It looks to me like it's relatively cheap, right? If we do reload zones off the entire range. So you can see we did get down into 78.6. I'm a cheap ass by nature. You know, a lot of these names we were looking at, and they're like trying to bottom here. Kind of like this. But notice there was one more dump it had to do and break all these people's hearts. Coming into all of these lows. Now I like what I'm seeing here. So how ironic. You know, we start off the conversation with, we don't know what the hell this damn thing is. Some sort of fork of Bitcoin. I don't know. And actually, I got to say, relatively speaking, this is probably one of the, like if we were running our mutual fund, this is actually something I could seriously consider working some bids on. Just throwing a bid right down in this area, right against these lows, maybe against that railroad tracks. That's not a bad place, in my opinion, to be long a whack of this. Looking for those foggy boggies levels up top. So, what is that? It's 46 bucks. You know, maybe you come in at 30, 40, somewhere in that area. You can get a double off on 2.618. Love when that happens. Once you got that double position, then your next sell half on a double level is a test of these old highs. It's not bad. It's fascinating how that looks. I think I would like to see this W confirm first, and then I'd be hunting a trade setup. Also interesting too, you've heard me say, Great Del Moody, write this down. Candle body lows for trade location. I mean, look at that. That's fucking insane. Can you guys see that? I mean, that's what I'm trying to teach you guys. I will say, unequivocally, it's kind of like my mom. My stepmother used to smoke, and she used to sit there fucking smoking like a chimney and go, "Don't smoke, it's bad for you." And you go, "Oh, you're smoking. What the hell, you hypocrite?" So, I'm not going to say this trade's easy. You've heard me say that before. But try and learn this. And if you even have to, maybe just paper trade this a few go rounds, just so you get comfortable with this. Also notice too, what do you think the odds are that this level was a reload zone? Hello. I mean, look at that. So, can you start to see the overlapping reasons? How about the bottom of value? Can you see that? So, Derek, can you see how this is actually a pretty good, like, this is a trade Hogue would like. Buying in down here, below value. And now you can say, railroad tracks, we've accepted back into value. So, 80% of the time, where should we go?
Back to the top of value.
Right up here. You see that?
Yep.
So, actually, I think there's an 80% play actually happening here. So, anyway, how ironic. This name I actually don't mind. That's not a bad buying level. What is that? Like 35 bucks a coin. Might even go throw in a bid, you know. That's actually not bad. That's interesting. Let's see what momentum looks like. You think we got a momentum divergence here? Oh, look at that! Oh, it's just on the cusp of breaking out. So close. Look at that. It's trying to. So maybe this is an example where you let it break out. Like I said, draw those reload zones. See if you can work some stink bids against the bottom end of range. See if you can get a little bit lucky on like a Kavarkanator pullback. Cool. All right, did we figure out what the hell the fundamental justification for owning this is?
I don't know if there is one.
That's too bad.
I mean,
Especially
I sometimes come off a little blunt. There might be. I don't see a reason for me to personally.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't see much
this.
fundamental wise, but
I'm sorry if it's your favorite token out there.
Participate. Yeah, so I'm saying here, love the location. Just give me a reason. There's got to be some sort of reason why we're owning this. And you know, you people over there on YouTube, maybe you know the answer. What's the fundamental driver here? Well, why should we be in this? Meow. You know who I'm talking to over there on YouTube. I see you. Sorry, guys. Too many characters in this space, eh? I end up talking to people, and sorry, that's very rude for you guys. But the guy who actually, I think I brought him on. Didn't I bring him on a call?
It was just last week, I think.
Yeah, because I love that guy. He's totally awesome. He's the best, Rob. All right. Anyway. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Wasn't interested, but got schooled, and now I can see the potential. Oh, interesting. Okay. Nick's just like, fuck off. All right.
Well, I mean, I've always done mine. Like, my entire column has always just been fundamental. I'm level 1. I'm not going to... You're putting a TA spin on it. I don't need to do that. I'm just giving my fundamental
Okay.
opinion.
All right. Cool. Always been a non-believer in this one. Interesting how TA seems to be following some rules. Non-believer in this one. What does that mean?
It being a fork at around the time when Bitcoin Diamond came out, Super Bitcoin, there was like 1 billion free airdrops of, if you had a bit of Bitcoin, you got all of this stuff, and it just seemed like something that people were pumping and dumping. But I don't know, maybe because of the lack of kind of die-hard retail believers, it's just a trader's coin where people trade setups on it, and it kind of follows all of those rules that to levels that it should be without it being tipped by people that just FOMO in or ape in these days, I guess they call it.
Yeah, that's an interesting expression, ape in. I think that was coined by one of our TI alum. It's turned pretty popular in the crypto space, eh? I don't, obviously little old ladies driving wheelchairs and using walkers and stuff. Brian's not an ape-in kind of guy, so don't fault me if I don't embrace that idea. Having said that, some of you guys have become extremely wealthy taking that shot, so who knows. That's an interesting comment. Mind you, I would say, though, that there was a pretty nasty little trap that was laid here, right? They really broke a lot of hearts, probably, through this event. So I don't think I would say that this is easy. But it is an interesting commentary that a lot of the bigger names could be, like that Doge, for example, blatantly shilled. Blatantly shilled. This one not. So could you kind of like hide behind or fly under the radar screen participating in a name like this? Maybe. I suppose, I didn't even realize that was such a dramatic rally. I mean, gee whiz, that's like, well, I guess it's not quite 20x, eh? So its March low was, oh geez. Its March low was $3.79 back then. And interesting, this thing, so, geez, that's a pretty big move, eh? 3 and change all the way up to 170. How many X's is that? That's almost...
about 50 or so.
Yeah, so... I mean, there's the irony. That's this whole sort of altcoin space versus just classic Bitcoin. So... yeah, so I think I would just leave it that, this is exactly the same as well, not exactly the same. I do like the fact that it's on the other side of this trend line. That's good. So, give me some W's, and actually I think I could justify participating. I think I'm going to leave it at that. What did I say here? Yeah, love location. Why don't we say, give me an FA reason, and I'm going to say, and a W, oops, FA reason, and a W to participate. Okay, let's keep moving this train forward. Oh my goodness. Do we want to maybe just put our firm stop at like 2 hours? And if we don't get through 10, because fuck man, we're at 2 hours right now. We could be here another 2 hours. I'm almost feeling like I don't want to burn myself out here.
We can if you want. Yeah. Or I can actually keep us to a timeline, one of the two. I know we aren't the best at that, so maybe we just split this into 2 weeks or something.
I think so. Like I said, this is a free show. It's not really like, I mean, are you guys in a big hurry?
I'm not.
No, not necessarily. No.
When this gets done, I just go to bed. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I think what I want to do is let's wind the show up at 2 hours. I want to get a little bit of religion about this show, because of course we still have a full day of trading tomorrow, etc. And actually, I have to be nice and perky. I have to work on advertising tomorrow. Wonderful. I'm actually like an employee here at this company now. Boo. It sucks. Okay, we'll do one more. We'll do this STX, and then we'll call it a night. Does that sound like a deal, guys?
Yeah, that's good. I was actually hoping we would. I know there was somebody I was looking back up. Alec Bentley was waiting for our chat about stacks.
All right.
So
Well, here
I'm
we
glad
go.
we can actually get to that one. Stacks is neat. I didn't know about it before this week when I started looking into it, but it's actually like an application layer on Bitcoin. And so it's a decentralized layer where anyone can go and start developing dApps or dApps on the Bitcoin blockchain instead of like your normal smart contract blockchain like an Ethereum or etc.
Cool. Longer the channel, the bigger the run. That should look pretty straightforward to you guys. Good thing you don't chase. Nobody here at TRI chases anymore, do we? So probably a really good conversation about, does this coin really want to accept back into value? I would prefer the actually this W's. Sorry guys. So I don't know whether I can believe whether this is actually accepted back out of value and we're going to start racing higher. I'll probably say just knee-jerk, this will start trending higher when we can break through this line and W out on the other side of it. And if anything, what I wouldn't be surprised is this kind of goes boosh, and then kind of like exactly what you see here, we kind of walk our way down the trend line. Whether we break these whole lows on the next go round down, it's tough to say. We've seen a lot of these names, right? Where, you know, maybe a week or two ago, we were in a half decent trade location. You know, like we've been doing this video now for, you know, I suppose we can change that to a week, right? Like 9 episodes. I mean, the irony of it all: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we did, when we first started this, all this shit was just looking like a train wreck. It's interesting how on the weekly basis we put in this nice fractal right in the reload zone. So that's encouraging. Those people, I often say, you know, try and hunt that 78.6 as sort of a nice nanny nibbles level. Well, it's not a bad level there. I would say interesting how on a weekly basis we've come right up to that trend line. Is that how that looked like on the daily? Daily looked different, didn't it? Yeah. So that's interesting how on the weekly that was sort of bucking that trend line, but on the daily we're quite far away from it. I don't know whether I've drawn this correct here. Suppose also some you know, technical purists would also say that since this was a new closing high, you're probably best to go off the following peak. But notice, look at that, boom, boom, boom. So if we go off of the following peak, it's basically the market saying, well, it's the same damn trend line. This is pretty accurate. So clearly that's a major, major resistance line. I do find it curious, right, when I went to that weekly chart, how those lines, actually interesting. Look how divergent those are now. Maybe we're going to get that kind of situation. So, not a bad analogy. You can see how we're fighting at this trend line. I caution you guys, you know, whether you draw this on the weekly or the daily. If you drew it on the weekly, try not to take that trade at that trend line, because that is trouble. And sure enough, right, this is just a mess here. If you got a nice little W, maybe even an inside bar, kind of like what I've drawn here, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a rally back up into this area. Also, too, this is a good analogy of that market structure. So you can see the original M top failure, notice that that's sort of where I kind of thought we would run out of steam here. So I kind of like that thinking. Also, too, if we do fibs going back up top, that's probably good old 50% rule. So if we go 50%, yeah. So there's a lot of technical justification, kind of like that thinking into the fall here. And maybe this doesn't go like this. Maybe it goes like this kind of thing. You know, you can even see that here. See how it's just sort of waffling along here? So maybe we do something along those lines there. So I'm curious why these lines look so different from the weekly to the daily chart. That's a bit perplexing for me. I am going to say just, you know, knee-jerk reaction. We always use the 50% rule as a good counter-trend rally location. I like that thinking. It lines up nicely with these market structure levels. Also, too, now this is a curious profile. Look at that funny-looking profile. Derek could probably answer this. Let's see how he does. Here you go, Derek, back in the hot seat. What does a profile ideally want to look like? I wonder if anybody...
A parabola.
Oh, good, he got it. Oh, there you go. It's nice that I could. Just don't fuck around with me, Brian. So, if that's the parabola, there's some unfinished business here. Doesn't that kind of look like, hey, what the hell? This kind of looks like somebody took a bite out of the profile here, right? So, in a weird sort of way, the market is kind of telegraphing that it wants to get up into this 50% rule. That's kind of cool. So, way to go. Derek, actually, we'll give you a passing grade on that one. Way to go.
Thank you. I know a little bit, just not a lot.
I'd also say, too, that, let's see if you guys can use, well, maybe yes, maybe no. But if I was thinking how we were going to move our way up into that level, where am I going with this? When I draw one line like this, where do you think I'm going with all this?
You're looking for an ABCD harmonic?
Nice, nice. So that's something along those lines. Notice that also lines up with the 50% roll and those original market structure levels. And also the top of value here, right? So... I don't mind the idea. It's interesting, again, how that weekly chart, on the weekly chart, it's just fighting with that trend line. But is there any particular setup that I kind of like to trade that maybe might help us trade that move up into this level? I don't know.
Is that maybe a bot if we get another higher low?
Yeah, it's developing. I mean, I think, is that beyond 66? It kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's at like that 76 or so.
Bot setup, boom. Always backwards. Gee whiz. A little bit too far, eh? Oh, wait a minute. Ooh, there we. Ooh, that's close. Oh, it's so close. I'll leave this, we'll call this a lady's choice. So hopefully what you see also too is, hey, look, there's a little bit of a downtrend. So this is a situation here where, what did we say? What was the rule about taking a trade? Should we take that trade at that trend line there?
No.
No. We want to wait for a W on the other side of this trend line, but we already have one low. What happens if we get like a second low and a third low? Hey, we might got something to work with here, right? Remember, we had kind of said that we were thinking for a shot up top here, volume profile, 50% level, A, B, C, D. I mean, I'm not pounding the table here. If anything, what we probably want to do is something like a reload zone going down here. And go, if I could get a nice little W right along this trend line here, right in that reload zone, that would just be sick. And then the question ultimately here is, if this does set up like this, where would our bot entry level be? So that would be there to there, there to there, and there to there, and there's your 25 level. So let's watch this. You know, if we do get this pullback into this reload zone and we can get a W here and it sets up off the 25 level, we'd actually have something that might be worth taking a good look at. It's not a terrible idea. I mean, I do like the fact that we are down in reload zones. I like the fact that there is an FU move. What do you think the odds are that this actually set up a divergence? I don't know. Ben, what do you think the odds are? Good? Bad?
Pretty good.
Different?
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right, survey says, boom. This, you know what this is? This is a Kavarkinator divergence. So if Kevin saw this, he would just be like over the top. I don't know whether you can see that. And actually, this is even what we call a double D. I don't know whether... So a lot of times markets have to do double divergences before they can actually start bottoming. So at this point here, right there, can you see how this confirmed a divergence? Price went to lower lows, but MACD did not. And then we broke out through the top here. You see that? So that's actually saying that this asset it's stronger than what the price itself would lead you to believe. Now, the problem here right now was them going and putting this M here, right at the top of value. Remember we talked about that a moment ago, right into this wick. So we can't really say that this thing's an outright buy right now. We're going to have to get a little bit more sort of market structure validation that this is Wing out. But it is interesting how, you know, those people looking for divergences, Willie's stupid. Nick, you now have learned about overbought and oversold indicators. You understand how that gets Brian really excited. Really, really good lesson that this is a heavily modified Williams percentage R indicator. And ironically enough, when the moving average itself goes into overbought or oversold territory in Williams percentage R, a reading above minus 20 is overbought, a reading below minus 80 is oversold. So this moving average here went down nicely into that oversold territory. This, and I actually built this indicator because I had one specific student who, client. There's no fucking way the guy would ever listen to me. He was an old tugboat driver. This guy was hard as fucking nails. But that doesn't mean he's a good investor. And I actually built this indicator and I called it the Willie. That's what his name was, Willie. Captain Willie. Everybody had to call him Captain. And literally, I used to call this, if you see the moving average get into the overbought or oversold indicator, it means that the market has gone stupid. Because Willie would come in here and he would be like, oh, this thing's going to zero, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it. And of course, that's the exact wrong time to sell. So, called the indicator the Willie. God bless your soul, Captain, if you're still alive or passed on. And this little moving average, when it goes into the oversold zone, this is a terrible place to be a seller. So this is a Great Del Moody. I don't even know if you even know this. This is something that I teach in our education program. It's a tool that I built years and years and years ago, but man, it does a great job keeping you out of trouble. So when this thing goes stupidly oversold like that, you got no business selling. And sure enough, that was a terrible place to be a seller. Now, kind of middle of the road. It's neither overbought nor oversold. It's not, I mean, the divergence itself is kind of meh. And where are the buyers? So, like I said, coming out of this level here, lots of bullish enthusiasm. Somebody must have said something here in the middle. I guess this is right around the middle of July. Somebody must have said something here that kind of brought this back down to earth. So, you know, the guy over there on YouTube is also excited about this STX. And Nick, like, what happened here to actually bring an M into the story here? Something must have happened. Anyone? No? Alright. Well, it might be a fun project. I guess that's at Alex Bentley over there. Was that the gentleman you were talking about, Nick?
It was, yeah.
So, Alex, if you know what happened here, this might have been like all about the hacks and stuff. I don't know. But something happened in here that changed the story. So you want to make sure, if you're going to play this game, you want to make sure whatever it was that brought this top in here, that story is over. And then, like I said, I like the idea. Keep your eyes peeled. You might get a really kick-ass buy down in here. Let it develop. There's nothing really developing just yet. Just let it develop. But you might get handed a really cool entry here. So there you go. Not a bad idea to actually finish the show on tonight. And actually, that's another 24 minutes. So how the hell did I do that? 24 minutes a story. That's ridiculous. Jeez, I don't think CNBC gives 24 minutes to any one particular stock, do they?
They probably give about 24 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Buy the fucking stock. All right. Tide laundry detergent. Cue the commercial. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to say here is interesting, kind of like BTG. And, this kind of makes more sense to me, too. That we're starting to get into some interesting stories now that aren't sort of these big honkin' fucking Goliaths kind of idea. That this is actually, believe it or not, this is more my flavor of investing, where you're digging into individual stories. I don't know. Call me crazy. What I'm hearing is I like this story. So you said this is almost like a layer of BTC.
Yeah, it's essentially allowing Bitcoin to be programmable.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
so it looks like they provide tools for developers, and around that May time frame, looks like they released some Web3 tools. So maybe that was some of it, some of that
Okay.
hype or some of the positive news on it. First,
So it
so
might
that's
have
one thing I
been
was able.
okay, and okay, sounds good. I like it. I'm just gonna say I am going to be hunting a setup to get long. The only question I have here is this one of these kind of names where if you're not international, you can't participate? Because it is this Tether, Binance, all that shit. I mean, are we SOL if we have to do this on like some other exchange
From what I understand,
or
Stacks was,
American?
I think it was launched as a security.
Oh boy.
Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. So they jumped through a lot of hoops with the SEC, and they got classed as a security. So they couldn't actually offer it to the public in an ICO. So it's all kind of was like private shareholders and developers that got the initial coins, but they're trying to get it classed as a currency. So I don't know if they have got approval for that or whatever, but once that happens, then I guess it could be listed on Coinbase or places like that for the US customers.
So that's a major. Us North Americans probably can't play in this.
Right. Most
How
probably.
ironic! We could go to DeFi, and we could buy the Ethereum products that's wrapped, even though this is technically only supposed to be about Bitcoin, right?
Those look different. The one
Oh.
your cursor on says Sticks,
Oh,
and
okay.
the bottom one says Stake Dexum.
Okay, so maybe these are traps, and we better be careful there. Okay, so Mr. Where was that guy over there? What was his name again? Alex Bentley. Where the hell do you live in the world? And how can you participate in this? Because if you're in North America, I don't think you can. And that's what I'm hearing, right?
I mean, it does look like it's on KuCoin. I know KuCoin doesn't do KYC.
Over in Korea?
I don't know where KuCoin is based, but I do know that I have
KuCoin?
plenty of American friends that trade on it.
Yeah.
Whether they're supposed to or not, I don't know. But they don't KYC, so.
All right. So buyer beware, caveat emptor, all that. I did have an account on OKCoin for a while there, so I suppose you could probably do it on OK. Interesting how both OKCoin and OKCoin forwards contract, both those exchanges have it. So it looks to me like this is pretty popular in Asia. Is that correct? Alec Bentley says USA, KuCoin if you're in USA. Once approval comes and major exchanges get hit, going up. Yeah, well, if that's the case, then yeah, you might have one of these as it's listed to each of the American exchanges. You get associated pumps, so keep an eye out for that. You know, you might find that one of the reasons why this thing does start lifting and it does start Wing here is because of that whole thing as well. So yeah, that doesn't. Oh, and then there's that route, Bob. But of course, we're all good law-abiding citizens. We pay our taxes. We love our central bankers, and we're not troublemakers, right? Correct, everyone? Is that correct?
I mean, what you just said, that is true for me. I want to be as legit as possible.
And
through
that's the way I am. And
you can still make mountains of money and be legit and pay your taxes. And
Sure. Hell, you know, like, and really all three of you, are you guys going to be participating in my Korean barbecue challenge for Andrew?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't have an account where I can currently buy off the Canadian exchanges, so I need to figure that out.
You can set it up on IB. That's pretty easy.
Okay,
but,
Interactive Brokers.
You can set up. Kevin was telling me you can set up Roth IRA, I think it is, where you can actually just you gotta let the money compound tax free. So, but once we make our nut, we can always withdraw and pay tax on that at the end. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I hope all three of you will participate in that as well. So,
I mean, it sounds like a fun time, and I can sit through and wait for things to happen, so I'm not worried about that half of it.
Well, I wouldn't even be surprised. Like what I've told Andrew is, let's plan on when Winnie is rolling out Belton Road and the market is frothy into 24, 25. That's when I think we'll be driving our Lambos. So that's the time window that I gave him.
Well, I will say one more thing on stacks. It doesn't seem like there's much volume on many of the exchanges, so
yeah,
that might be one thing to consider.
Yeah, interesting too, right? You can see a long, slow grind. If anything, this is a really good analogy of our volume impetus. So you can kind of see I'm a bull, and then something's happened here recently. So we really don't want to see a bar, really this bar here. And that's, what is that? That's 4.58 million. And, 3.95 million. Ouch. So we've actually been issued a little bit of a sell signal here, volume impetus. But the good thing is can you see how the bears are kind of quiet here as well? I don't know, Derek, can you see that?
But yeah. But I'm also talking about, like, if you're going to do trade or try to get it on KuCoin, there's only like $100,000 in 24 hours. So I mean, it's not. Yeah. I mean, not that you, I guess.
Okay, so
you know how big you want to go.
So we should probably keep that in mind. There's punk asses like Brian who throw $500, $1,000 at these things. Then there's players like Derek. If you're a player and you're talking size, you might have a difficulty. Now, what does that mean? 5?
No, my webcam gets really blurry, so I need to get it to refocus.
All right, that's cool. If you're a player in size, then that might be an issue. Thank you for that point there, Derek. Good point. Okay, it's now 8:30. I got another 10, 20 minutes in there. I'm not sure how the fuck I talk so much. I'm sorry, everybody. But anyway, I think we'll leave it at that. Not bad. I mean, these were really good stories to look into. Of course, Decentral, pretty near and dear. I think I might go buy some Bitcoin Gold here if I can get the chance. I wouldn't mind actually picking up some of these stacks too, and I know I have been buying this ONT. So it's kind of in Mana. I'm a big fan of Mana. I got tons of that on the books, and like I said, I want to go buy property. Digi. So it's fascinating. We're finally coming into the names actually that I'm actively interested in now. So that is interesting. Okay. I guess I'd give you mine. Like I said, Layer BTC Dev, and I'm interested, although I'm a little concerned about where the hell I'm going to buy that. FA, interesting project. TA, put it on the watch list, has some regulation issues. Yeah, same sort of thing. Want to learn more? Intrigued. Cool. And interesting. Anyone know if SEC is approving this as a currency? We'll be looking for Coinbase listing. Great point. This is, if anything, that guy. Who's that guy who just got hired to run the SEC? I think his name's Gunlack or something like that. Gunlap. This would be a really cool test case to just add him on Twitter and say, hey, give us some guidance. We need guidance. What's the story here?
Gary Gensler.
All right. See if we can actually strike up a conversation with that guy. So I'm going to leave that up to you, Ben. Have fun with that.
Yeah, I'll get him on speed dial.
All right. Okay, I think I got to shut the hell up here, guys. So I don't know who took us out last week. I can't remember. But
I think it was me.
All right. Derek, I think you did the previous week, I seem to remember. So, Ben, that sounds like it's your turn this week. So, why don't we leave it at that? Thank you very much for your participation. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell. If you know who Colleen is, you'll understand that she needs her bell rung. Do you guys have like social media handles and stuff like that? Do you want more followers and stuff like that? Do we want to promote you guys?
When the app comes out, spread that.
Okay, yeah, because in fact, Ben's been working away on this, and actually, I like that new logo that you have in there. So fire that new logo in there, and if anything, is this your donation address? Is that what that is?
No, that's just you scan it with your camera, and it's a progressive web app, so
okay,
it'll go straight to your desktop or your phone.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So everybody take a screenshot of that and have some fun with that. If you guys want me to do Twitter handles and Instagram and all that kind of crap for you, just let me know, okay? Because you guys need just shout outs here. But I think we'll leave it at that for today. So as I said, Derek and Nick took us out recently, so it's Ben's turn tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation. If you feel like making a contribution to our ETH wallet to help the Mana Drive, would love you for it. Hit the like button, subscribe, let us know. Come and pop in and hang out on the site. We got a 30-day trial. You can come and listen to Julian and his baby powder report first thing tomorrow morning. We've got daily brief recap videos that we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we have a broiler chicken show on Sunday. So there's lots of content at TRI. We also, of course, have a new school term coming up in the fall in September. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you are interested in learning. We do have a raffle that's associated with those school terms. So you can even win a free seat to the raffle. But we got to know. So put your comments down. Let us know what you think. If you have questions. If there's any of the coins that we talked about tonight that you happen to know what fundamental drivers are, totally awesome. Let us know. And wasn't there a question that we had for the public that also I wanted them to chime in on too? Oh, yeah. If we wanted to do a mutual fund of these names that we like, is there any of the audience, there's a good, few hundred of you that watch this. Do you know what would be the best way for us to move forward on this? So we'd really appreciate your feedback on that. Okay, have yourselves a great evening. The only thing left for us to say, if Brian can shut the hell up, is take it away and take us on out of here, Ben.
Bye for now.